Good day, I'm Rue, and welcome back to another episode of Living Faith-Filled Lives. And today we're going to hear the testimony and just have a little chat with
Songwriter Chuck.
Songwriter Chuck. Yes, that's what I
great.
was going for. So it's good to have you here.
That's nice to be here.
All right, so Chuck. First off, I'd like to just ask, to get the conversation started, how did you come to believe in Christ?
That's, I was raised in the church, but somewhere along the line, it's one of those things you don't sometimes you aren't able to put a date on.
Okay.
But there comes an awareness, and back in about 1981, a real awareness, the Spirit of God was beginning to talk to me, and I needed to listen. And that a switch just came. And that began a journey for both, myself and my wife, of just learning to follow the lead of His Spirit speaking to me, which was, that's been a journey ever since.
Oh, yes.
And that's unfolded into all sorts of wonderful things along the way, and some difficult things, some good things. But that's about really when it really started.
Okay.
And I think before that I got church.
Church?
Yeah, as distinct from got Jesus. You know,
Right.
It was a lot of being brought up in a church system where I understood what was going on around about me, but it was not about the system. And around about 81, I just suddenly saw a whole difference, and everything shifted away from the system and away from the program and all the other stuff that goes with it, and the name that was above the door. You know, whether it's Pentecostal, Baptist, Catholic, didn't matter. Suddenly I saw the one who built me, created me, was speaking to my heart in 81, and that's when it started, and it's just gone on from there.
Okay.
When I lived in Moree for all through the 1980s, and I used to work on a satellite station there,
Okay.
which was back in the days of what was called OTC, Overseas Telecommunications Commission.
Yeah.
And we were doing international communications for what they call the Pacific Ocean regions back in and out of Australia.
Okay.
So all the news feeds you'd see, all the telephone conversations that were going to that region of the world, which was anywhere from sort of Japan all across the Pacific, all down the west coast of the USA and up to China. We would handle all that data, conversation, telephony, TV coming in, and I was involved in that industry. And
Wow.
we were, we had one boy who was born in 1982, and he's my son, my son Ben. He lives in halfway around the world in the Netherlands.
Oh, wow.
And my wife got pregnant with another child, and about 12 to 13 weeks in, we lost him.
Oh,
And
I'm sorry to hear that.
it was one of those things that it was a pivotal moment, because in the middle of it, she was crying, her parents were crying, everyone was crying but me. And I was like a person just observing something on the outside, like it was watching something on television.
Right.
It was bizarre. And I watched and I realized that some years before that, I'd shut something off by my own choice in my own life, where I said, I will not cry anymore.
Oh,
I will not cry. And it was over another situation. And I realized that I'm in trouble. I can't fix this. And it was one of those things that Lord walked me through to learn to forgive those that might have hurt me previously, or equally learn to be forgiving in just total attitude to people around me, and not hold things that were shutting me down emotionally. And that, losing that little boy, his name was James, that was a trigger point. It was a low point, but God walked us out of that into something that changed the way I view things, because I understood what it was to learn to forgive out of what His Spirit had given me, not out of my own effort. I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. I didn't have it in me.
yeah.
But He'd come to me with His Spirit and He said, I have forgiveness in me that I've given you. Use that. And made all the difference. And then the switch came, the whole switch came, and out of that, things began to change, and there became a freedom. And I remember years later, it was only a couple of years later, I was watching a program on television with my wife, and it was involved with little babies born prematurely in places like the Royal Brisbane Royal Children's Hospital. And these little ones, they're this big, and they're born prematurely and struggling for life. And we're sitting on the couch watching it, and my wife turned to me and said, "You all right?" I said, "No, I'm not." And tears were rolling down my face. And I realised, she said, "You okay?" I said, "Yeah, it feels good. It feels good." Because I knew what I should have been shedding for my son a couple of years previous was now happening. And it's a good thing. And it becomes, sometimes I think it's a chink in your armour that you need. You need something where you realise, you just haven't got all the goods.
Yeah.
He brings it all to me, all of it. And it was a great experience to walk through. And I've seen friends of mine who've gone through the similar things where they lost a little boy who was 3 years old in an accident, tragic accident, died in his mum's arms.
Oh.
And how do you walk out of that, And yet their forgiveness towards even the young boy who was involved in the accident, to include him in the funeral service, sit with them. That's God. That's the heart of Jesus for us. And you can't do it in your own strength. So those low moments, they actually become somewhere where you learn. I often say to people, you learn nothing on easy street. You really don't. But when you walk into a situation that's hard, you have to dig deep. And the only place to go is to the end of me, where God meets you. Because he says, "You haven't got the goods for this." I said, "No, I haven't." He said, "But I have. And I'll put it in you." And that is such a relief.
Yes.
Makes sense?
Yes, it does.
Yeah. See, he comes along to us and he brings things to us that we don't have until he comes. And when he comes, suddenly all of his nature gets put into us. I think that's marvellous, don't you?
Yeah, yes, it is. Really, we've got nothing. It's all from Christ. There is no goodness in us. It's all
given
to us.
Yeah, I find that always fresh, always a great leveler is just when I think I've got certain abilities and talents and all that other stuff. Doesn't mean a cracker if I'm not hearing his spirit.
Yes, I can understand.
You understand that? Yeah.
Yeah. You are a songwriter as well. Could you tell us how you came to be a songwriter, and also what caused you to know that you would write things for the glory of God?
See that once again, it's a gift, It's just a gift to be given. Not everyone can write songs, but not everyone can be an engineer. Not everyone can be a brain surgeon or a heart surgeon. There's talents and gifts. Like this guitar that I play, it was built by a friend of mine. I don't have the skills to complete a guitar like that. I finished off one or two for him just before he passed. He said, "Would you finish them off for me?" And they were half made. But I was so aware of what he put into it before I started, and his expertise and he was fastidious about it. Like he would just go after the smallest little things. He used to say to me, "It's the little 5% that I'm doing in this guitar build to make it work." And that was his talent. And I found it, I was almost gleaning from him. But it's the same with songwriting. Not everyone can do it, but I find that there's an echo within me that comes out of the hand of God. And it always has to do this far along in my life, after having written all sorts of other songs in the folk scene and other stuff. It's just, throwaway nonsense songs or little jazz numbers or something. There's always something that comes back to who I am now in Jesus, because he's brought something to me that's created a different nature here that I didn't have before. I just didn't have it. And now I look at things I want to write, and there's certain things I don't bother going there because they just don't interest me anymore.
Okay.
or they go against my grain. You know, they don't suit me anymore. So I leave it alone. And but I do find it's a bit like some people who stand on a mountaintop and they just look at it all, and it does something to them because they're just standing at the sheer majesty of what they see. You know, they spend 3 hours getting up there. I couldn't do that. I'll watch it on SBS. But there's a resonance that comes with it, and I'm finding that's here. And out of that, I write the songs, and I find that I get an idea. Might be the simplest little thing, and it just falls out then. It's a gift. It really is a gift. And I find then when people say, you know, where can I buy your album? Well, I just give them away now. Because I realise to put $1 on it, it actually diminishes the value of what I've been given. It's bigger than you know, I did my creative bit with it. But in the end of the day, I've got to acknowledge I didn't really write it. I was given this. And it's almost like God says, you know, here's an idea. Now you've got the talents because I put them in you. Take that and shape it now. Just like that guitar that I play.
Yeah.
He was able to take these woods, bend them, build them, shape it, and even then he wrote his name on the inside. And you know, we're a bit like that. The builder writes his name on the inside.
Yes.
Fantastic. You know, that's beyond what my head gets. My heart knows it. My head plays catch up. What does it, you know, what does it mean? My head has to learn to follow what I'm beginning to understand here. And it's a gift. So the songwriting's like that. It's some things come to me. Sometimes they're one of the first songs I ever sang in a little church at Moree when we were there. The pastor was there, said, would you like to lead a song? And I had one line. Blessed be the name of the Lamb that was slain. Blessed be the name of the Lamb. That was the chorus. It's simple. Simple, 3-chord wonder almost country song. Simple. So they all sang that. That's all I had. This is in the moment. And they all started singing. Got to the end of the chorus. Suddenly I get the lyric. And it just flowed out. And then we'd come back and we'd all sing the chorus again. Get to the end of the chorus, another lyric. And it went on for verse after verse after verse after verse. Got to the end of it, couldn't remember any of it.
Wow.
Gone. And about 2 days later, I'm talking to the Lord and said, that was a good song, Lord. Can you give that back to me? Can you show me what that was? And about a day or so after that, he just opened it up and I began to write it all down. I've still got it today. It's called Blessed Be the Name of the Lamb. I've just finished recording that little song and I want to put it out on YouTube clip for people just to have. But you can't put a price on that. I mean, you can't say you wrote it because it's given to you.
Yes.
You know? So I'm conscious of that sometimes, yes, sometimes you're given something and you have to use the talents that you have or I have to hone it. But the initial thing is a gift. It's a gift. And his life to me is like that. It's a gift.
Yes.
So that's the way I approach the songwriting now. So I always err towards that. Nothing else works quite like that. Nothing actually comes close. I often said, well, a friend of mine recently who's a songwriter as well, and I said to him, there's a difference between playing in church or playing in a pub or a club. And he said, oh yeah, different thing. And he's right. I couldn't sing some of the things that I sing in church, where there's a group of believers who just need to be in the presence of God together. Wouldn't necessarily work in a pub or a club. Likewise, I can't drag what you do in a pub or a club. It doesn't fit. And the longer I've gone on, the more I'm just happy to let the other stuff go. You know, it's good, it's fun, and there are times for it at times, but it doesn't float my boat.
No.
Doesn't ring in here. You'll probably find that with what you do.
Yes. Sometimes I do a little bit of. I write some stories sometimes and poems, but there are times, yes, I have that happen to me where it's sort of like I start writing it and then I'm like, actually, you know what? It's not fitting in with what I believe, and it's just not. I don't feel like this is right, so I toss the idea aside. And
very wise. And the simplicity of that. People say that's a really simplistic approach, but in actual fact, that's the saving grace of it. When I go, hang on, this doesn't suit me. It goes against who lives within me now. It just goes against it. Right? I remember years ago, like I used to grew up loving watching movies. When television came out when I was a kid, you know, all of a sudden I could go to my mate's place because we didn't have a TV set. You know, my mate down the road had one, so we go and watch, you know, Combat or whatever other show or cartoons. Long as it was moving and talking in front of me, and it was addictive. It was just addictive. I used to love movies. Then you get to the stage where you watch anything, and one day the Holy Spirit just quietly said in my heart, didn't hear it here, heard it here. He said, "Don't bring that in here, Chuck." So this is my dwelling place now. This is my home in here. Don't bring that in here. It doesn't suit you anymore. Yeah, I get it. I get it. And I'm learning more and more and more just to listen to that voice and go with it. Doesn't always make sense for people, but it's, you know, it's seen with a different eye and it's heard with a different ear.
Yes, and also God's ways are higher than our ways, and His thoughts higher than ours. And if He tells us to move, we move.
Yeah, that's it. Yep, the boss says to move. Okay. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that makes sense?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, good.
Yes, it does. And actually, again, I can relate about the movies because actually, rather recently, me and my family, we used to like to sit and watch movies at night, so in the evenings when all the family's home and all the work is done, and we'd just watch a movie.
Sit back, yeah.
But then just recently, we've felt like we've suddenly lost our appetite to always be watching movies at night, and we've also, there's some shows that we once watched and thought were and quite enjoyed, which after watching them again recently, we realised we don't find that it's not all that cracked up to be anymore.
No, it's not. What they say, sin ain't what it was.
Yes, and
I talked to a man recently. He's about in his 40s, and he's got 2 young sons who are they're young. They're going on 7 and 5, and he was saying to me that he and his wife don't let them watch that much TV. They just don't. I thought, wow, that's interesting, because most parents that age, I'll sit there and say, don't bother me, watch that.
yeah,
You know, which I understand about, but he's looked further down the track and he's gone, actually, this is not helpful to them. And he said, let's do something else, do something with them, read to them, go and play in the yard with them, other than just get fed by monster all the time, you know.
Yeah.
Because it's relentless. It's just relentless, and it comes at you from 1,000 other directions, but it all smells the same. I can still remember a really old friend of my father's. He was a preacher, and he used to say, you don't have to lift the lid off the sewer to know what's underneath.
oh yes.
And I thought, wow, that's pretty true. You know, so and you, as a kid, you think, oh yeah, that's just a saying that some old fella's got. No, he was right. And this far along, you realise the Spirit of God comes to you and says, it doesn't belong in here anymore. You're different now. You're different. You're a different person now. You have a different lineage now. You know, your lineage comes out of heaven now, not out of the things of this world, or who your ancestors were, or all their troubles and worries. He said, you were born of the Spirit now, not out of who you were before.
Yes. Yes. The old things have gone, the
Gone,
new things have come.
Yeah, you did right. You did right. Yeah. I can't remember where that's from, but yeah.
I think it's in Philippians, maybe.
In
If
Philippians.
I'm wrong, then I'm wrong.
Someone look it up.
Yes.
Look it up. Yeah. Yeah. You did right. Yeah. All right. What else is on your mind?
Well, about the songwriting. Last night, yesterday at the men's breakfast, you said that, and actually it might have been the night before, I can't remember when you said it, but you said that you've only just started going about with your songs. How did that come about?
Oh, putting him on a YouTube channel. I'd forgotten I even owned this YouTube channel. It's one of the things my son set up for me, because he's a really good IT geek, and I completely forgot it was there. But I was looking at some of the songs I'd written, especially ones that people can sing along with, and I was thinking, I was talking to the Lord about it. I was saying, Lord, I'm really thick sometimes. You've got to give me some direction here. This is what I'm in. I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer. I really aren't.
Mm.
And I said, this is what I'm thinking, Lord, but just show me. Just show me. Make it plain for me, because I'm just really thick sometimes. And the very next morning, I was talking to the senior man at our church fellowship, and his wife came to me and she said, you know those songs that you write? I'm going, oh boy. She said, you ought to take all those things and put them on YouTube with all the lyrics so people can have them. And I didn't tell her what I'd been talking all about. And I said, thank you, Lorraine. Thank you for that. I'll follow through on that. Because the very night before I was saying, Lord, you've got to make this plain to me. I mean, you can't get it much plain. And that's what I was thinking. And he's just come along and said, you're right, press on. So I did. So I made a start, and finding just simple scenery to put the words up with. I can't do too much in the way of processing video because I haven't got the computing power.
Yeah.
But I can put up just some simple slides that colour pictures that go with it, that go with the lyric, and put the lyric up and put the song with it, just with a high grade MP3. And if people want it, welcome to it. It's a gift. It's a gift to me. I can't put a price on it. You got to pass it on. Mm-hmm. And so that's where it's started. And that's only a month or so back, you know. And I've got a few more there that I'm still working on at the moment. I'm just trying to get together. And of course, I'm running out of pictures to put behind it. Uh-huh. So I keep thinking of different things. I've got one there called The Tapestry of Love, and I was at my mum-in-law's place. She's in a nursing home, but she loved tapestries, and she was good. She's got a few there that she's done. Oh, yes. And I saw them. I thought, today's the day. So I got some shots of them right up close, where all you can see is the stitch, mm-hmm. and then come back a bit, and it's a stitch, and you haven't seen the picture yet, and then you come right back, and you suddenly see the whole picture, and you go, oh, this is what it is. And you know, that whole thing in Colossians, and it's out of the Message Bible, and Apostle Paul says to the people, said, look, I want you woven into the tapestry of love, to be in touch with everything there is to know of God. And that's something God does. He weaves you in, he puts you in. And that's the end. You look at it the wrong side around, and it's just, well, if you ever turn a tapestry around, you know it's like.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure about tapestry, although I've had a bookmark which my mum made for me, and she did it with embroidery, and on the one side it's just a mess, it looks terrible, and then on the other side the words that she wrote on there come clear, and it's Psalm 119, one of the verses in there. I have hidden your words in my heart, O Lord.
Yeah, so I will not sin against you. Yeah. Yes. That's so true. You turn it around the other way and it all comes clear. That's only something God does.
Yes. I find it's often that way with the way we approach life. I suppose this is the same picture that you're trying to do, and you're trying to put here with the tapestry of love. Mm. It's sometimes we, in our human understanding, we try to go at it, and it's all back to front because we're thinking with this, but then God goes, hold on, no, look through these glasses of your spirit, and then
everything changes.
Yes.
Everything changes, and that's just how it works. The irony of it is, and most people don't see it, we're actually built for that. He built us originally for that, to commune spirit to spirit. Now Jesus said those things to his followers, you know, right in front of the Pharisees. Unless you eat my bread and drink my blood, you got no part of me. And they've gone, what? Who is this dude? And the disciples come to him and said, well, what are you talking about? He said, the words I've spoken to you, they are spirit. They're not the natural, they are spirit, they are life. So he's talking about his spirit, your spirit, and knitting it together. And everything flows out of that. Everything. That's why if I don't hear with this verse, this is struggling. Head's struggling, trying to understand it within the bounds of my own learning. And my own learning runs out pretty quick, even if I'm clever. And even like some of the industry I used to work in satellite communications, it was reasonably high tech for its day. Let's face it, that station I worked on at Moree, they put it in 1967, 68 or something, they commissioned it to take not just international communications, but to take communications for NASA for the moonshot, 69.
Oh.
And some of that technology they put in there, that was still running when we decommissioned it 20 years later. Original digital stuff, data stuff, with integrated circuits that you could take the top off and have a look at. Like, it was that old. But it was military specification, it was high tech for its time, and in 20 years, I think one of the guys says only one power supply had been replaced and the rest of the time it used to run. I mean, that's pretty good, that's pretty elegant sort of technology, you know, for what it was doing. And they sent people to the moon on it. And now they've just sent them around again, and the technology between that trip and what they did in 69 would be miles apart. And yet he comes to us and he said, I've built you a certain way to communicate with me, spirit to spirit. And out of that, all your understanding will grow. And all your habits will change. And all your way of seeing things and seeing people, and your ability to forgive people, to love people, to care for people, be compassionate, to be understanding. It all changes because he gives you of what he is, and he puts it in you. And he always intended that. That is truly awesome.
Yes.
That truly is awesome. You know, we demean that word, I think, by our misuse of it. But
yes,
that's how he's made us. And I can't get my head around that at times. It's just incredibly, incredibly wonderful. Yeah, so, yeah. Yeah, so where did we start with that conversation?
I don't know, actually.
But that's where we ended up.
Yeah, well, this is perfect, actually, with a way of conversing. And,
good.
Yeah, and so going back to your walk with Christ,
Yeah.
Can you name one person at least who impacted you?
Oh yeah. Look, there's an old gent. This is wonderful how these things get passed on through. There's an old gent who died at 101. His name was Arthur Burt. He was a Welshman.
Okay.
He died back in, I think it was around about 2012, 13, something like that.
Okay.
And when he was a young man, he had an association with all people, Smith Wigglesworth, way back in the day. And people used to revere him because of it. He said it drove him nuts. He said, because I knew the man, I knew his foibles, and I knew his weaknesses. And he said he was arrogant and all the rest of it. He said, but nevertheless, he was a vessel of God, and he would humble himself and let God use him. So Arthur passed on things to us through two other men that I'd come across in my time. One was also gone to be of God, whose name was Mike Wells. Okay. And Mike was one of those guys, he would say to you, look, I'm going to talk to you this morning about things that you already know. He was quite upfront. He said, it's in my weakness that I'm strong. He said, and he'd talk about the life of Christ within you and learning to abide in God and God abide in you. Let the life of the vine run through you. You're just a branch hanging on the end.
Oh, yes.
But unless the sap's running through you, you're not going to produce a thing.
Oh, yeah, without me, you can do nothing.
Nothing. Yeah, that's it. So I said, even the fruit that comes at the end, you're just hanging on to it. You're just the bit that comes, but it gets produced because of him in you. And he had this one message. He said, I'm a one-string banjo. He said, I've got one note. He said, it's the one thing I sing, and it's all about Christ in you. And he says, not necessarily about the gifts of the Spirit or anything else of the fruit of it, it's about Christ in you. He said, and all those other things will flow because of him. And he was really instrumental. He and another chap who now lives in Coffs Harbour, his name is Ray Andrews, Dr. Ray Andrews. And both of these guys they were very learned. Mike had 4 degrees.
Wow.
4. And he came out of the end of it working as a janitor.
Oh,
okay. And then they suddenly find out he's good at other things. But he said the degrees didn't mean a thing. He said Christ meant everything. He said, all right, suddenly realised all my learning didn't bring me any closer to him. And God put the learning in its rightful place for him. And he travelled the world with this other friend of mine called Dr. Ray Andrews. And those two men have been so, faithful to impart to us that it's Christ in you is what is needed. That's the only hope of glory. Christ in you is the hope of glory. He said it's the only hope in you that will give any glory to God. Not you, not your talents, not anything else you bring. But him in you brings that out. And when he allows his life to have its way in you, he will prune off all the junk that you don't need, and what is of him will come out, and suddenly you'll find life. And for years, I've been a musician for years, and we played in pubs and clubs and all that sort of stuff and earn a bit of a living off it and all the rest of it. It becomes an identity in the end. Oh, you're Chuck the guitar player, or you have this band, or you have that band, or we know who your wife is, or you guys are great musicians. It doesn't mean a thing at the end of the day because it leaves you empty.
Mm.
Because when he comes along and he makes his home here, everything changes.
Yes, and our identity is now in him.
That's it. And again, let's say the lineage, we talked about this morning, the lineage of Adam came down line through our ancestors. With all the junk that comes through our ancestral chain, it actually, in the spirit, it stopped at Jesus. And that's something the Holy Ghost has got to show you.
Yes.
So when he breaks my lineage, so then people say, oh, you might have ancestral curses. No, I haven't. I've got a different ancestor now. God gives me his spirit, his nature. And those things no longer have effect. They just don't. They fall flat because they can't abide anymore because he's made his home here. So I just get that way. I go, well, these years I've got, Lord, I want to be hearing your voice and walking with you. And like never before, Carla. Look at what's happening in our country and around the world. It's getting shaken like this. And everyone's going, well, no, what's going to happen? You know, this latest thing with the Straits of Hormuz and, all the stuff that's going on in the Middle East and people saying, will it last and all the rest of it. God knows all about it.
Yes.
I wouldn't be surprised if it all goes belly up.
Oh, yeah.
We'd be all surprised. It all goes belly up and then we'll be back again. Oh, what are we going to do? We can't drive here again. Hang on a second. Just hang on a second. And let God shake off the junk that the world is trying to put on us and bring us to himself. And sometimes it's a hard road.
Oh, yes.
But we've got to hear, it's a different ear, see with a different eye. And it's a different thing, I think people are getting hungry for that. And guys, your generation and the younger ones, they see and they go, I see what's going on. Like my grandkids, the young ones and they're just little tackers, and the other ones are teenagers. But they take one look, and I know that they look at what's going on in the world going, what does this all mean? The chance of them buying a house, or chance of them moving into something meaningful, or the introduction of AI coming into so many things. What am I going to work at? My granddaughter's decided she's going to go and get a trade because it's irreplaceable. Serving people, They're thinking. They may not be thinking progressively with some sort of, cognitive line that's following some sort of reason. But in here they know this world is shaking. But in here there's a hunger for what is real.
Yes.
And that's the thing. And the AI thing gets thrown up everywhere now. And I mean, someone sent me something the other day and said, what do you think of this? And I said, it's all fake.
Oh, yes.
It's all fake. And it was all music and stuff.
Yes.
And it sounded great. And the guy singing it looked great. But even he wasn't real.
Yes. But funny you should mention that. Last night, my mum and I, we listened to a song together. It's a sort of a Celtic song that we like. We just like it because the lyrics sounds nice, and also it's the voice of the person singing it sounds nice. Except we've been found out it's not a person singing the song; it's AI generated.
So the whole thing is some collective of some sampled voice, or maybe it's a couple of voices being put together. You wouldn't know.
Yes.
I seem like never before do we need to hear the voice of the Spirit.
Yes, because
like never before.
Yeah, so because all this it's fake. What we need is the truth.
The truth. Yeah.
And who's the truth?
And the truth is a person.
Yes.
That's it. The truth is not some thing out there that's nebulous that I can't grab. The truth is him.
Yes.
And when you understand that and he wants to make his home in us, all of a sudden everything changes. The whole platform changes. The whole dominion changes. Because I'm now under a new governance.
Yes.
I'm under a whole new governance, and he governs this house. Like he said to me, don't bring the movies in here anymore. It doesn't belong anymore. I get it. He's been very patient though,
Oh, yes.
He always is.
Yes. Sometimes it amazes me how patient he can be. Because
It's extraordinary. What my head grapples with to this day, my heart knows it's true, but my head grapples with is, how did the blood of Jesus bring all this about? You can't reason that out with philosophy. You just can't.
no.
You can't. It's something that the Spirit of God reveals to you, that someone stepped into the gap for me and made a way to be back in the presence of my Father in heaven. Man, tread softly with that stuff.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, listen, I've got to press on with my day because I've got to
Oh yes,
travel.
yes.
Can I leave a song with you before we go?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
I wrote this song for a friend of mine who he studied philosophy at university, and we had a conversation once, and he opened with a question about this whole journey of my faith and everything, but obviously it just wasn't time for him to pursue it.
Mm.
I think the moment he asked me some of the questions, and maybe he saw where it was going to lead, he said, "Oh no, I don't want to go there." I said, "That's fine." But I was able to say to him, this is something that's seen with a different eye and heard with a different ear. And like, he's going to grab these words here. And that's what it's about. And it's called the greater light, because one of the things that Mike Wells used to say to us, that man I was telling you about, Mike says, the lesser always gives way to the greater.
Oh, yes.
Always.
That's true.
It's true. So he said, if there's darkness in a room, a $2 flashlight comes in and is shone, and the darkness is split, because the lesser gives way to the greater, which is true.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I said to him, that's what this is about. And so it's called the greater light. We owe nothing to all the push and shove. We owe nothing to accolade or fame. Holding on to faith, hope, and love. It's only these things that truly remain. They are never by chance. They are quiet and clear. They are seen with a different eye and heard with a different ear. I took a photo of my little grandson a couple of years ago. I was in the Netherlands. He was only 18 months old. He had been near me the whole time we'd been there. He was playing with my wife on the couch. He kept looking over at me. And he was getting sleepy. And it was like this little switch happening in his brain. He looked at me and said, "Oh, I think you're safe." He crawled around the couch, sat on my lap, put his head on my chest, and went to sleep. Like that. And I went, "Oh wow." And I said to the wife, "Get a photo of this." And there's this bird. As a child knows, his heart is at home. And all is quiet, and he sleeps upon your knee. He has no questions of being alone, 'cause you are with him, and his heart is free. It's his secret place. It's so still, so near. It is seen with a different eye, and it's heard with a different ear. As at the breaking of day, the stars fade from sight. So it is, my lesser gives way to the greater light. So let's tread softly in this way that we go. We are but footprints left here in the sand. Speak humbly the things that we may know, 'cause you and I were the essay of a far, far greater hand. And he's leading this dance through this laughter or tear. a different eye and hurt with a different ear. Oh, he's hurt with a different ear. Yes, hurt with a different ear.
Sorry, I have to clap. I have to clap.
Thank you.
That's
Thank you.
very good.
Thank you for today. Thank you. And thank you for your offsider who's behind the camera.
Yeah, thank you very much. I really enjoyed the conversation.
Great.
And I hope you enjoyed it too. But I'm Rue.
No,
This is Archie
I'm
from behind.
Archie.
Yeah, this is Archie from behind the camera.
He's
I'm
Archie.
Rue, and this is
Chuck.
And
Till next time.
yes, till next time. God's be with you and goodbye. It has been a blast.
Don't get the camera.
Sorry.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you so much.